Hey Heart families, last time I did a video, I showed you the markers to watercolors composition. So this week, or this video, I'm going to show you how to take one of those and use it as a background for a positive, negative, reverse composition. And of course, you know, I love hearts, love the heart motif. So I'm going to show you this one, which is really, really simple, but packs like a really nice graphic punch to it. And then I'm going to show you one using the same concept, but it's a little more complex. And I'll be honest with you, this one took me a long time to sort out. It seems that my brain has a hard time really thinking through this positive, negative reversal, but I do like how it turned out. So I have another one, kind of this same idea of the faces in silhouette and the hands making a heart. I tried another one with a few little adjustments, so I'll put that one together during this video and we'll see how that one turns out. Last time I did this one on the watercolor paper, and so I've wiped off all of the salt, and so I just wanted to show you the reveal of pulling this out of the watercolor block. You can see it's nice and flat since I let it dry completely in the block. Then I have another one, and this one, you can see it's a little bit warped, and I'm showing it to you because when it was finished and I pulled it off the block, I didn't like just how garish or really, really bright and jolting the colors were. So with it loose, I took some more water and just tried to soften some of those garish colors. And so what ended up, since it didn't dry flat, you can see that my paper ended up a little bit warped. It's not going to ruin the usefulness of this piece of paper, but I did want you to see the difference. If it's very, you probably can't tell so much in the video, but I can really feel it. This is, the surface of the paper is just kind of bubbly. What I'll probably do after I get my positive and reverse image glued down, I'll set this under something that's really heavy to get it nice and flattened out. So you're going to need black paper that is 1/2 the size of your larger background paper. Now, if you didn't do a watercolor wash, you could use anything that contrasts with black to be your background. You could use a solid color, any color, like I mean, even white. You could do this on white if you liked, but you could do any color that you liked. You could get magazine colored pictures out of magazines. A full magazine glossy page would work. Anything that you want as your background. I know in scrapbooking supplies there's lots of beautifully printed paper, so maybe you have a supply of that you could work from. Anything would work. You need a pencil, some decent scissors, and some glue. So I'm going to do first just this simple, the heart motif. And with this one, easy cheesy, you're going to draw half of a heart with the edge of the paper being the central axis of your heart. And so I start on this edge and I go up. I do not come all the way to the top of the paper. I go around, not touching that edge of the paper, and then I slant down and I end on this edge. Now you could take any imagery that's symmetrical and apply this idea, and it would be fun. I mean, it's so simple, it would be fun to experiment with different imagery. So I did the half of a heart. Now inside of that, I'm going to go down from this point slightly, and I'm going to start a second heart, and it goes close to but does not touch the first heart at any point. I'm going to do, and I'm just going to make a bunch of these. Sometimes they're going to be closer together, and sometimes they're going to be further apart. I just keep making smaller and smaller hearts. Then I'm going to take scissors and cut these out. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is take all of these pieces and figure out whether I want to lay them on this side or this side of my paper, and go ahead and get it arranged kind of like a puzzle, have all of the pieces fitting together. Okay, now that I know I have it all fitted together, I'm going to start with the outside edge. I'm just going to pull it up. I like to start with this edge because I can get the edges of the paper nice and lined up. So which side? Actually, when I look at this, I like this side. I think I might like this side of my composition better. I really like these bright colors, but I like these colors too. I do like that area, so I guess I'll glue it on this side. So I picked it up and I flipped it over to make sure I'm putting the glue on the back side. I'm doing small glue dots, making sure I get glue close to the edge of the paper. You can see just how small these are, but how they're pretty closely spaced together. I don't even have to worry about this big center area. Then I carefully get it lined up with the corners of the paper. It would be really hard to start with something in the middle where you're just trying to position it but by starting with an edge like this, really sets up a guideline for everything else. Gotta make sure this piece isn't glued down under it. Okay, the next step, I'm going to take the next smaller piece, which is this one, and I'm going to get the glue on this side, and then I'll hinge it over, just like you're turning a door, and I hinge it right on this axis. This is the central axis, and I'm going to glue it over here. So with it in position here, that shows me which side to put the glue dots on. Down, what you want to do is create a line with these straight edges, a line down this axis. I have a hard time saying that word. And then, so this piece is going to go on this side. So it's the next smaller piece. It fits right in there. So it's going to be glued on this side. So this is where you have the positive, negative reversal. So I cut the first heart out. Let me set this down so you can see like that half of the heart. And I glued the negative space on this side. And when I did that, so since the negative space of the paper was cut out around the heart, it creates visually the positive space of a heart on this side. And so then the positive heart that I glued down, I glued that shape down, and I mean it's a heart, but it creates, in this background you can see all this colored stuff. It's creating the edge of a heart. All this colored stuff in here is a heart. So you just keep reversing these positive and negatives, and it's creating repeated hearts over and over again. You see positive hearts, you see negative hearts, and they all go together to make this graphic design. Since this one's going to be glued over here, this is the side I put the glue on. I'm going to scoot these over here so I stop getting glue on them. The heat of my hands just help get the piece down flat, and then it also, the heat of my hands speeds up that drying a little bit. The more hearts you cut out, the more little bits you're just going to have to keep organized. Lining up these center pieces so that there's a straight line on that axis. If these pieces are lined up and the paper lies down flat, then the heart is going to be lined up correctly. A nice little trick is whatever the next heart is that you're gluing down, if you put it so it's nestled right into the piece that it came out of, if it's nestled in there, that's the side you put the glue on. Then you are able to hinge it, and it glues down nicely, lining up. This last little piece is so tiny, it's kind of hard to get lined up. You probably saw I got glue, I kind of dabbed some glue in various places by mistake, and so I just touched it, dabbed it up. For the most part, Elmer's glue will dry clear, so you don't have to worry about that. And you don't want to rub it if you don't want to rub back and forth if you get glue in an odd area, because then you risk your paper balling up or the pigments kind of balling up around that glue. So just if you want to dab it, you can, and or let it dry. But voila, this positive negative reverse image is finished. As I compare these two, I think if I were to do another one, I would probably emphasize yellow and orange, and simply because I love that bright contrast between the yellow and the orange and the black paper, whereas I really like the purple and blue colors, but I prefer the contrast of the yellow and the orange. Okay, so now I'm gonna try this other design, and I don't know how well you can see it. I sorted out the design before I turned the video on, but I drew another face with a hand so that you have, you know, the little thing you can do with your hands and make a heart, or you could do it with a friend and make a heart. So I've already drawn that in. Now I'm going to proceed to cut it out and figure out how to glue these on, see if I can make a design with us. So I'll just let you watch and see. Okay, so you saw me cut all of that out, and I might be regretting how complicated I made some of these spaces, but I'm going to start gluing it down. I'm going to start with the outside edge and then flipping things over as I go. I'm also silently praying to myself as I do this. Okay, I finished gluing it down and got really complex down in here. All these little almost checkerboard pieces. And I'm medium satisfied with it, not completely satisfied. But it's something that I think you could have a lot of fun experimenting with. And like with any project, here's a basic idea, and then I want to encourage you to take it and just soar. So I'll be talking to y'all soon. Thank you. Bye.